Hello there, and welcome to the Equity.Guru Investor Roundtable. Today, talking about a client named Filament Health. I'm Bobby. That's Galen down there in the corner making tomato soup. Is that what you're making?
No, ginger beer.
Oh, ginger beer again. It is Chris Perry in the far corner, Guru himself, and Vishal drinking something in his gold vault.
Some ginger beer from Galen.
Yeah,
Ginger beer
see?
from Galen.
That's
It's
what it
good
was.
stuff. It's good
How is it?
stuff.
10 out of 10.
Oh, nice. FH on the NEO exchange. FH
FU.
is oh, thank you. On the Filament Health, and it's our pal there, Ben Lightburn, is the CEO, and Chris Perry, who's spoken to him and knows him and has talked about this company before.
Yeah, we go way back. We're like brothers. Not really, but anyway. Filament Health. Here's the 30 words or less on Filament Health. If you're looking for a company that's going to end up getting a piece of every other psychedelic company's deal, Filament Health, FH. If you're looking for a company that's going to be basically the patent troll of psychedelics, Filament Health. And if you're looking around the psychedelics business and realizing that there is no imminent lawsuit like there was in cannabis 10 years ago that is going to instantly legalize the industry to the point where we can all go to Third Beach at the drum circle and just shroom out like we should be able to as adults, you got to think to yourself, how will the psychedelics industry monetize? How will anyone in that business, will it be growing shrooms? No. Will it be dispensaries? Well, there are dispensaries that deal with shrooms in Vancouver right now that the cops don't give a shit about. You can have shrooms delivered to your door. It's pretty great, but it's not a pubcode deal. There's a lot of companies that are doing research into like, what could psychedelics do for PTSD? Listen, think back to the early days of cannabis when everyone was all concerned about medical patients, where the $100 million facilities to grow the stuff were all about making sure that they were high quality for medical patients. And as soon as it was open season for adult use, all that went away. All the clinics, all the bullshit, all the lying. Oh yeah, we're camping out. We're gonna educate the doctors and we're gonna do clinical trials. None of it happened. It all just went away into like, please buy our weed now. Here's a bottle and here's something that you can smoke. So in psychedelics, you're only going to hit the same problem, right? Except it's going to take longer to get to legal adult use. So in the meantime, all these companies have camped out and said, we're psychedelic companies, but they can't make money, right? They can spend a bit of money, they can raise a bit of money, and the market is kind of just tape it off because, like, what's the urgency? You guys, you're still a bunch of law changes away from being able to actually do business. Why am I going to leave my money with you during a market downturn? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, except for Filament Health. And I realize I'm dragging this out, but here's the go-to. Filament Health is getting patents. They're doing the clinical trials, and they're getting patents on extracting materials that eventually, whether it's medical or whether it's adult use, is going to be important. They're at basically just doing the work right now that other companies aren't doing. And that costs a little bit of money, but not a lot of money because they're dealing with partners. So they've got about $6 million in the bank. They're spending, I don't know, $100 million a quarter, and they're able to take this IP and farm it out to other people. So as other countries liberalize the rules, this guy's going to be in a sweet spot to be able to get revenues in without having to blow through a bunch of money to build a $100 million grow facility or a lab full of machines that go ding. So for me, Filament Health, even in a down psychedelics market, even with a lot of bullshit players, there's something here that, for mine, is worth staking a claim, leaving your money in there for a while. And I don't care if it goes down, if it goes up. Just be a part of this company so that when all the moving parts Jenga themselves out and suddenly there's an industry, these guys are going to be not only alive, but able to capitalize. Mic drop.
You actually described something in there too that we talked about one time. Remember the company we did where it was like a bunch of dental chairs in Utah, and it was like a pot, or no, it was a psychedelic clinic, and they had like
anytime that anyone's talking about setting up clinics for psychedelic use, GFYS, honest to God. Like, you and I could go and get a barbershop chair on Commercial Avenue for $150 a week and we can claim that we're life coaches and clinicians, and here's some shrooms to figure out why daddy touched you.
Come
Like,
have a seat.
there's enough psychological clinics out there and psychotherapists that we don't need to set them up in the back of a strip mall and pretend that it's some advance in fucking
Pseudopsych.
medicinal use.
Pseudopsych.
Right.
Galen, I know you're in love with pseudopsych.
Yeah, basically, when we discuss this idea of people opening their own clinical practices and stuff, we already have enough professionals in the industry. It's a matter of them adopting it into practice, and they are gradually doing that. I would much rather have somebody who has been training for 20 years that knows the actual psychology behind things than rather than somebody with dreads who feels that they know my soul. So that point of business has always been a little bit silly. Now, they could have been trying to sort of shield themselves and figuring in the end at some point they're going to have some sort of recreational facility, some sort of destination drug use facility that they could put into use. And some of them have got that in Costa Rica and that kind of a situation. But again, we are so far away from the legalization of recreational
Nobody's
use.
flying to Costa Rica to do shrooms on a weekend.
Well, no,
Like,
although there are people that do take those trips to have the psychedelic journey in mind, ayahuasca,
Right.
all that kind of stuff. It's
Yeah,
pretty popular, but
Yeah,
it
it's
is
called Burning Man.
it's a niche market. It is a niche market, right? It's not something everybody's going to jump onto a plane to head off to Mexico to experience their death dream, right? It's just not going to happen. So. Companies like Filament Health differentiated themselves initially by using natural extractions in a clinical format and developing patented technology in order for them to do this. Because the biggest thing is bioavailability in terms of psychedelics. It isn't readily available to your system, and also it's not something that is clinically accurate. You never know. You can grab a handful of mushrooms on any given day and one day be tripping the light fantastic while the other day is trying to scrape the bad taste out of your mouth. So it just depends like what you get. So these guys said, look, we've got a way that we can extract it naturally. We can get the entourage effect that has become a bit of a thing because who knows what chemicals are reacting with each other and with your body. So we're going to get the whole thing going. And we're also going to make sure that when we give you a dose, it's going to be the exact same dose every time. And we're also going to make it readily bioavailable so you actually get it to your system and don't just piss out the chemicals. So that was a good thing to start off with. Now we're seeing the reality trough hit the entire sector. In terms of legislation and regulation, it's going to be a slow wheel. It's going to take a long time to turn because it's not only just laws, it's also culture that needs to adapt to actually use this as an everyday thing and feel okay with it. So as Chris said, it's a long time prep. But with Filament Health, as we also already mentioned, they're gathering together a set of patents so they can actually license out their technology to other companies. So when this does actually hit, they will be, as we said, in the sweet spot, the catbird seat, however else you want to describe it, to actually bring the money in. And because it's an idea situation, an IP situation, there's no materials that they have to put together to make this happen. They can have one lab, they can put together the idea, they patent it, they send it off to other people for the headache of manufacturing and distribution and sales. So, not a bad idea. Where it's going to go from here, I can't really guarantee anything, although they do have a fairly extensive IP portfolio, and they've
25 patents filed so far.
Absolutely.
Four granted.
Yep. So, there is something there in terms of value now that will carry forward in the industry in the future. It is at a pretty good price in terms of what share price is because it went up to, 45 cents at one point, I think January of 21. And then it's now come down steadily. And where is it sitting now? 13, 14 cents?
14-ish.
$26 million company. It's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
So basically, it may waffle around, but this is an industry-wide thing at this point in time. It's not necessarily this company that's causing the selling pressure. It's just psychedelics in and of itself has kind of, as I said before, hit the reality trough. So this is something you put away for a future. This is something you want to just put in and then kind of walk away from. You're not going to be trading this on a daily basis. There's going to be no hockey stick jumps. This is something you look for in the long run. But there you go. That's how I see it.
I'm glad you brought up the sector too, because we were contemplating a psych roundtable, but it's such crap at the moment. So we're
It's
incorporating.
dog shit. It's so
Yeah.
bad. It's cannabis at its worst. Like, honest to God, I can think of one company that I really like, and it's the one we're talking about. But you know what? I mean, shrooms are great. Like, shrooms are outstanding. And there's actually a real growth right now in the pickup rate of people who are like microdosing and finding real good times with it. It's not just like seeing purple dragons when you're going to get high on the beach. It's legitimately like microdosing brings creativity. It allows you to drop your ego a little bit, see what's really bothering you in the world. Like, I personally think that shrooms have been responsible for the greatest advances in my damn psychological health since forever.
Now,
I'm also
understood,
aware,
but let's make one caveat here. It's not the drug itself that makes the journey. It's the individual behind it.
No,
So
no,
if you're
absolutely.
not ready for it, it's not going to help you at all.
Yeah. No,
Look,
it's got to be.
We can't say that it's a panacea, and I don't want that to go out.
No, 100%. But I used to go on drinking, and weed edibles took that out of my system, and I realized I get the same effect without the hangover and the high sugar. But then weed dehydrates me, and the shrooms, when you figure them out, replace the weed and take away that problem. And quite frankly, like, my personal life, I think, is way better since I started exploring shrooms. And 100%, it's the shrooms responsible for it. And I guess my ability to be a little introspective and be able to figure out some things.
Right.
It's not for everybody, but neither is donuts, right? Like, the point of it is that if you're entitled, look, I've pretty much realized over the last year that I'm on the autism spectrum, right? I'm hyper-focused about some things, I have executive dysfunction at a high level on things that I'm not interested in. There's a whole, being introspective around other people. There's a whole thing there, right? I also think that about 30% of people out there are also in that situation if they're honest about it. But it was the ability of shrooms to strip away the ego that prevented me from actually looking at myself squarely, that allowed me to say, actually, you know what, I think I'm understanding some things in my life now, from relationships onto business, right? So for me, I really want shrooms to be a thing. Like, I really want people to just be able to go and take psilocybin in a controlled dose and understand what it will do to them. And the only way that's going to happen is if a company like Filament Health creates those delivery products that take it away from a handful of blue meanies on Third Beach on a Friday night and take it to a product that will be in Shoppers Drug Mart with a realistic delivery potential.
That's right.
Sorry, I tend to go on about shrooms because, honest to God, it's been a good thing.
Yeah. And what thing? I don't know about the donut comment though, but for sure ginger beer.
Hey man, there's some people who can't be trusted with donuts.
Filament Health, by the way, is on the NEO exchange, so it's FH on the NE, and it's based.
Which means no one buys it.
Based in Vancouver under Ben Lightburn, and we're going to boogie here. So, Gail, we got to see how much money we're going to invest, but first we need to see the charts on Filament Health.
Yeah, just very quickly, before Filament Health, both Galen and Chris here mentioned that the psychedelic sector isn't doing too well. You can see here, I still have drawn out what potentially we were looking at a bottom on the ETF PSIL and also on PSYK, and we did not get those breakouts to actually confirm a reversal very similar to the cannabis space, and instead we are, we did make new record lows on both the PSYK and the PSIL ETF just recently. So not looking too good for the psychedelic sector and cannabis as well. When it comes to Filament Health, though, we do have something interesting here on a technical perspective. The stock was ranging for almost 2 weeks here, just above 10 cents. And it looks like that was the bottom. You can see here as well, back on February 24th, 2022, we also saw buyers step in at that 10-cent zone. And then just recently here between March 28th and then April 12th here, just a range between 10 cents up to 12 cents. And looks like that's the floor that a lot of, the floor that the market is putting in here. But I want to draw your attention to this candle here, this fat green engulfing breakout candle, which, when you're playing a range, you want to see breakouts just like this, right? That indicates that there's a lot of buying pressure, and obviously, was that 45% gain on that day, which was April 13th, and I believe I can check the volume, which was 113,000 shares traded on the 13th of April there. So
that was on news that they'd received another patent.
Yep.
Patent? Okay.
Which they've now done 2 more since.
Right.
Oh.
So, yep, good news, strong technicals. So when you have that combination of fundamentals and technicals, that's the type of action you want to see with that breakout. So I have to say that's positive. It looks like we have a new floor now, since we are back above this resistance level of the range. It does look like 12 cents now is going to be basically the support going forward. And now we're just expecting higher lows and higher highs on this stock. So the chart looks better. We are above, we did break above my moving average there. Today's close is taking us back below that moving average, but I think just, with the overall stock market sell-off and the fear that's coming from it, that might not be too great for, breakout momentum plays, right? You want to see the markets move up with breakouts. So keep an eye out on that. I do think this 12-cent level or 12.5-cent level looks like it will be tested once again, but I like that, 10-cent zone. That seems like to be that market floor there. And I think there's going to be a good amount of buyers down here, as we saw from this 45% day, especially when the company is bringing in patents and continues to bring in patents going forward.
Let's find out how much cash we're spending here. $7,500 each. Chris, you're going first.
I like this spot. I don't like the markets in general. I think that the markets are dragging down everything. And I think that late last couple of days of downward price action is probably less about Filament Health and more about a general feeling of let's protect my cash. So, on a given day being one of those days right now, I'd probably not be buying. I'd probably be protecting my cash. But take that out of the equation. I think it's a bargain at this price. I think this is a company that's done exactly everything it said it was going to do, and that the market valued previously as being worth double what it is now, almost triple. And the only thing that's changed is they've actually delivered in the time since, and the markets have not. So, hard thing to raise money in psychedelics right now, but these guys, I think, are in the right part of the market, doing the right thing. And when it does lift again, and it will, as various states realize that there's value in these potential drugs, I think these guys have been in a really good position. If you've got some spare cash, if you like the deal and you want to buy in today, I'd say a couple of $1,000 would be a good spot to get in. It's at 14 cents today, but it was almost 20 cents a couple of days ago. So why not just keep it on your watch list? If it goes down more, you get more for your bang for your buck. And so I'd be inclined to put the whole 7,500 in, depending on where you are in the next few weeks.
You're going 2K today?
2K today wouldn't make me sad. I think you're getting a good deal. And look, if the markets are going to shit the bed, you want companies that have cash in hand. These guys have $4.5 million last I saw. Their spend is not very much. They're keeping their expenses down. So if you did have 6 months of a really shitty market, it doesn't matter. They don't have to go back and raise more money. They're not having to raise money to cover the electricity bill. So this is a largely protected investment. Will it go down in value? Sure, maybe. Will you be able to get it cheaper in a month? Maybe. Depends what the markets are doing. But these guys are you look at their news flow, they are doing exactly what they said they were going to do. And I think it's a strong investment at this price.
Galen.
I agree with Chris in terms of the company evaluation. The market, I'm a little more hinky on.
Hinky.
I think to a certain extent, we're probably going to see another downturn in terms of price drop for filament among everybody else on the markets. I think it's probably going to return to the 10-cent zone. And I think I'd like to keep my powder dry until that moment. But at that time, I wouldn't be adverse to dropping 3K in.
If you got in at 10 cents a month ago on this thing, you're doing it really well. Like, that was the moment.
Yep.
Well, might be the moment again.
Yep.
If it gets back there, then get in.
Jump up.
Yep. I'm looking at a bit lower here as well. I'm looking at the 12.5 cents. Obviously, I'd love it to hit 10 cents, but I'm watching this 12.5 cent zone here. And if we hit that, I would be putting in around 2K at that position. And if we do dip close to 10 cents, I'd probably add 2K more on that as well, because I do believe that's where the market sees a bottom, as seen by all this price action even in early February or late February, sorry.
2K, and Galen, what did you put on the board for yourself today?
3K, but when it hits
3K
10,
today.
Yeah.
We can't guarantee results. We also can't guarantee results from past performance. So please do your own homework, peeps, and do your research, because we can't promise you anything. That's not the point of this. The point is to educate and to inform and to enlighten. And also, we just came up with the name for Galen's donut shop when he opens it. Hinky Donuts is a perfect name for the donut shop. How about that? And you can serve ginger beer there.
Oh, yes.
So that's better than basement donuts.
That is way better.
Basement chicken.
Better than basement anything, for that matter, unless you're making moonshine. For the boys, we'll see you on the next Equity.Guru Investor Roundtable.
Bye.